Hey everybody, Melon here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going over the 2025 setup guide. I've been meaning to make a setup update video for a while now, I just haven't had time to get around to it, so I figured now would be good as time as ever. Now starting off, we're going to start off with this whole little area here. Now this is kind of my overflow storage slash x-ray pad stuff here. So basically this is all x-ray pad mouse pads aside from these glass pads here. So this is like all x-ray pad stuff, and this is more x-ray pad stuff, and down there is even more x-ray pad stuff. Just because I've been doing the breakdown videos for them, it's been taking up a lot of space. So that's the primary storage component for all this stuff here. And then inside I just have storage equipment. So I have my DSLR here. I have what I like to call the x-ray pad adhesive removal wipe drawer, which I quite literally have hundreds of these now. There's even more skates in there. Also honorable mention, we have Alfie's spot, which I have an entire futon dedicated to my cat because he takes over my office. So if I don't give him a place to sit, he eats my cables. So I'm forced to give him an entire futon. And on top of that, he has an entire little cubby down here because my cat is spoiled rotten and he's a little monster. Continuing on, we have the same air purifier as last time. Very helpful if you have a cat to keep stuff out of your equipment. And then we have the same kind of mouse overflow area. So this is where I put all the mice I've finished reviewing. So there's your Death Adder V4, Viper V3, Crazy Light, which I just put out a video on a week or so ago, as well as a bunch of extra stuff I just don't have anywhere else to put. For example, like the copious amounts of x-ray pad skates here and the extras here as well. So this is just kind of like an overflow area for my stuff. This is also like the other overflow area because like if I have other things I'm reviewing, like Gateron sent over these Jade Emerald switches. These are the magnetic switches with like that tactile point. I kind of just store that stuff here and then also over here. So like this entire area of my office is just like overflow review stuff basically and storage for the most part. Next up we have a fan because my office gets ungodly hot, so we have a fan to try and keep this place somewhat cool. And then we also have this big bookshelf here, which is basically just more overflow stuff. So we have a hard drive, my prompter here, we have a microscope here where I use for pictures, a bunch of mice I'm in the process of reviewing, a bunch of storage for old books I've read and that kind of stuff, some more stuff down there, and then more overflow stuff up here. Alrighty, and then next up we have the desk area here, and I'm just going to move this chair back. This is the same generic office chair I've had for a while now, but it's starting to show its age. I'm going to hopefully replace this at some point. Now, I was recently able to get my hands on a new desk, which is awesome because my last desk was like bowing out. So I have a proper desktop now, which is great. It's also a little taller as well, so it works really good with my height, which I'm very happy with. The only problem is that it has like a vinyl wrap, so it's kind of like sticky sometimes, but that's a pretty minimal issue. Now, in terms of peripherals, what I have on the desk right now, I have my Keychron M2, which has still been my daily driver work and editing mouse for like 2 years now. It's definitely starting to show a lot of signs of wear and tear, but it is a great mouse and I've really enjoyed using it. It's still probably my favorite, just like general use mouse I've ever covered here on the channel. Next, we have the Padsmith Dark Chaos that I was finally able to get my hands on a little while ago. I love the art on this pad. The pad's performance is a little fast for me personally speaking, so I've been using some very controlled skates with it, but I've just been using it as my daily driver to kind of get used to glass again. Also honorable mention, Lenovo T440 laptop for writing, GOAT company and GOAT laptops. This thing is like indestructible, so shout out Lenovo. We have a little USB hub here which I use for controlling all the various mice I'm testing and their dongles, and we also have my Vaxi Outside AX here, which I currently have in a little baggie with the X-Ray Pad U9 series skates on it since I'm using it on glass. This is the mouse I'm currently reviewing, so just keeping in the bag while I'm not using it, but that is what I'm currently working on right now. Next up, we have this little rigging thing here for a light and my webcam, so this is what you see on stream for my hand cam. We have the monitor itself and the desktop, which I'll talk about in a moment. For microphone, I'm still using the little Endorphi microphone they sent over a little while ago, so thank you very much again to them. For webcam, I have the Logitech Stream Cam here. I've been meaning to update this to a proper camera, but I just haven't had time to do so. And for keyboard, I am still using the Shortcut Studio Bridge 75, the very heavy all-metal keyboard. This has been one of my favorite keyboards just for like work and editing general use. I did swap out the stock switches to the Lemon Seabreeze switches from Gateron because they were a little lighter and a little more tactile, so they're a little better for like general use, but I've been really enjoying this as well. And I also just recently upgraded to IEMs. I finally got rid of those Apple AirPods. These are the Moondrop Chew 2s, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I got that name right. I've never used IEMs before, so this has been kind of a new experience, but I actually am enjoying them quite a bit, so that's nice there. All right, and then on to the most exciting aspect of this setup update here is the PC itself and these monitors. Big thank you to ASUS ROG, who was kind enough to sponsor a test rig of sorts, I guess you can kind of say, and they were able to send over a bunch of components for a new PC as well as 2 monitors. Now, I don't remember the exact SKU of the monitors, but they are 27-inch, 144 hertz, but overclockable to 180 hertz monitors. I have one here, and the other one's in the box here. I was supposed to get them armed so I could dual mount them because I wanted to put one here and one here, but I'm still waiting waiting for that to arrive. But anyways, I will have a dual monitor setup at some point. Right now I'm just rocking the single monitor, but this has been a nice update over my previous monitors because the bigger space is actually nice. And this is 1440p, and I previously only used 1080p. Initially I hated the change, but now I've gotten so used to 1440p, I actually really like it. So this has been a really nice monitor to use. The colors on it are pretty good as well. Admittedly, I don't really use the 180 Hz refresh rate. I just use the 144. I probably should be utilizing it, but it is what it is. Now, in terms of the rig itself, let me go pop this panel off so I can show you guys the internals. I'll be right back. All right, and then here is the rig itself. Now, ASUS was kind enough to send over most of the pieces for this rig. I did have to buy a couple of the components myself just due to some issues with some manufacturers giving me a couple things, but regardless, they sponsored the majority of the build. Now, I don't have all the parts memorized, but basically a TLDR, we have a Ryzen 7 9700X CPU in here. I've been meaning to overclock and I haven't gotten around to doing so yet. We have a 3-fan AIO here, which is a TUF cooler. We have 32 gigabytes of, I think it's Viper RAM, if I remember correctly. Well, overclocked, obviously. We have a GTX 4080 Super here. This is the TUF version. It is a beefy ass card. This is a massive upgrade from my previous GTX 2060, so this is a very nice improvement. Also, I've been saving this statue for forever to put it inside my rig, so I'm really happy I was finally able to do that. And then we have a, I believe it's a 850 watt power supply if I'm not mistaken, but it's a ASUS power supply. And then the case itself is a TUF case, which I actually really quite like. It has a bunch of big fans in the front and then it has a full rad on the top here. Now, one really cool thing about this case I wanted to highlight is that this case has swappable sides, which I know isn't like a revolutionary feature, but it is a really cool thing for me because one side, as you can see through the bottom there, is solid glass and the other side is that perforated mesh we saw earlier. Now, the nice thing about that is that it allows for a lot more airflow in the case. Now, it already has a lot of airflow, as you can see, but because the CPU is a little on the hot side and my office gets so hot, having the ability to swap in the perforated side to get more airflow into the case is really nice. Now, during the winter, I'll probably put the glass side on this side just so it looks a little better, but for now, we're going to stick with the mesh side just because it's a little hot. Another case-related thing I wanted to talk about here that I really like is that the top of the case here, as you can see, is also perforated. It has a meshing in it, but you can actually take the top of the case off in one solid piece for cleaning, and the front of the case, if I can show it properly, you can actually take this entire front piece off as well, and you can take out the mesh on the inside. So this case is actually very easy to clean, which is great because, again, I have a cat, so this thing gets full of dust and debris very easily. So having this case being so easy to service and clean is a great thing to see. I think I may add some more meshing to the front just because so much dust gets into the front. Like, you can see how much dust gets in through these big fans. So maybe I'll add some more meshing to the front of the case here. But regardless, I've been really enjoying the case. It has a lot of utility to it. It's very easy to clean. So props to ASUS there. Their TUF case is actually pretty solid. But yeah, that's pretty much the TLDR of the new rig. If you guys have any more specific questions about the rig, please let me know down in the comments, and I'll put the full spec list of the entire PC down in the comments just because I didn't memorize all the pieces. But yeah, that's the new rig, new monitor, and again, I will have a second one to go here eventually so I can dual mount it, but that'll be a later thing. All right, now that we talked about the rig upgrade, the last thing I wanted to talk about was this new little desk here. Now, this is a folding desk I got off of Amazon, and this is actually my filming area. So what I do is I take a backdrop rigging that runs along the side here and goes down here. I mount my camera to the top of it, kind of like this, and then I have the light here, and then I record my videos here. So when you watch one of my videos, this is actually the POV you're seeing. You're just strapped to a little rigging that goes there and looks straight down. So this is like my recording area I use for all my videos, which has actually been really helpful. And the great thing about it is since it's a folding desk, if I'm not using it for filming, I can just fold it down to give myself a little more space in my office because my office is pretty small. But that's why I went for a folding desk, just because it makes the whole utility of this a little easier. But with that, that's pretty much everything for the 2025 setup build. Again, not too much has changed over here, but the computer aspect of this build has changed a lot. And big thank you again to ASUS for sending over most of the components for this rig. I really appreciate it. I was running some pretty outdated hardware, as you guys saw in my previous setup videos. So having a more modern PC with great specs is really nice because this is the first time I've actually had modern specs on my PC ever. So being able to play new games and render videos way faster is a great thing. So big thanks to them again. I greatly appreciate it. And hopefully in the near future, I'll be doing some more upgrades. I definitely want to replace this monitor arm because it's being held together by prayers at this point. Maybe a mic and maybe some new cameras as well, but that'll be a video for another time. But with that, that's everything for the updated setup video for 2025. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, I will have the full spec list for this PC down in the comments. I just didn't memorize the parts. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.